16. When the sublime ones become displeased with me, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me, for renouncing the sublime ones and seeking bad companions. From now on, I will renounce negative friendships. Okay, when the sublime ones, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, are our spiritual teachers, when they're displeased with us, we don't want the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas displeased with us. We don't want our spiritual mentors displeased with us. Okay? But this is a result of renouncing those sublime ones and instead seeking bad companions. So instead of developing our relationship with the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, instead of really being careful about the kind of karma we create with our spiritual mentors, we just say, well, who needs them? I want to go hang out with all my old college friends and go drinking and drugging and watching sleazy movies, Or I want to go to the football game, or I want to, go to the horse races, or, I just want to lie home and, snooze the whole day. So we've cultivated bad, companions. Bad companions are people who take us away from the Dharma. Bad companions sometimes, in an ordinary way, it looks like they're the people who really care about us. Like you may have friends who say, why are you coming to this seminar on Saturday? It's a beautiful autumn day in Missoula. You should go out cycling. You should go out hiking. It's one of the last beautiful autumn days in Missoula. Let's go out and do something fun. You don't need to go to this seminar. You can watch it on the internet later. Or you don't even have to watch it on the internet later, because that time I'll want to do something else with you that's fun. Okay? So that's what's called a bad friend. They look like they're looking out for our welfare and they want us to be happy, but because they only look at this life, and they don't think about multiple lifetimes, then they want to take us away from the Dharma. And when we follow them, then that's separating us from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and our spiritual mentors. And so it's causing, it'll bring the result of the sublime ones being displeased with us in the future. 17, when others assail me with exaggeration, denigration, and so on, it is the wheel of sharp weapons turning upon me for disparaging sublime beings. From now on, I will never belittle others with disparaging words. So similar way, when others assail me with exaggeration, they exaggerate my faults, they exaggerate my mistakes, they denigrate me and put me down, saying I'm incapable, and so on. They make fun of me, they ridicule me, they tease me. Okay, so this is just the boomerang effect because I have disparaged sublime beings. So I've criticized my spiritual mentor, I've made derogatory comments about the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. My teacher is just they're such a bad mood, and they're making me do this thing that I really don't want to do. Ugh. Okay, this is the one in the West. My teacher is bossy. They're doing an authoritarian trip on me. They're trying to control me because, all of our authority issues come up. So our teacher gives us some advice out of kindness. Stop telling me what to do, is our response. Okay? So, karma of disparaging sublime beings. From now on, I will never belittle others with disparaging words. So, neither the sublime beings, nor our spiritual teachers, nor other living beings. Let's not use harsh words. Okay, 18. When my material resources waste away, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me. for being disrespectful towards others' resources. From now on, I will help others find what they need. Okay, when my material resources waste away. So we may have something, but we can't use it. You stored something and it got ruined, or, full of moths or mice or whatever. Or our resources waste away. We can't get what we need. Yeah. Or there's food to be had, but we can't get it, or we get it and it turns out to be rotten, or something like that. So this is, in other words, the situation is our lacking the resources we need. So lacking food, lacking shelter, our house is falling apart, lacking clothes, winter's coming, you don't have proper clothing, lacking medicine, we don't have the money to go to the doctor. So you lose your job, money is tight, we don't have what we need. It's the result of disrespecting others' resources. Okay, so we've disrespected others' possessions by stealing them, damaging them, borrowing them and not returning them, borrowing, using them, breaking them, and then returning them. Yeah? So instead of doing that, I will, let's help others find what they need. So when people need something, let's help them get what it is that they need. Yeah, if people need social services, let's help them find out how to get them. Yeah, if people, need a babysitter, look after their kids for a while. People, need some food or whatever, give it to them. Okay. 19, when my mind becomes dull and my heart unhappy, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me, for making others accumulate negative karma. From now on, I will shun enabling others' negative actions. Okay, so my mind becomes dull, my heart is unhappy. Yeah? Ever had that? Sounds like depression, doesn't it? Yeah, you can't concentrate, your mind's dull, you're unhappy, you're dragging. Okay, so this is the boomerang effect of having made others accumulate negative karma. So how do we make others accumulate negative karma? We encourage them to do bad deeds. We say to, the phone rings, or somebody comes to the door and we don't want to talk with them, so we tell our family members, tell them I'm not home. So we're asking our family members to lie, aren't we? Okay? Sometimes parents ask their children to lie and cover up for them. Yeah? Or, you have a substance abuse problem, you ask a family member to call in sick for you, and you're not actually sick, you're just zoned out due to your addiction. Yeah, so you're asking them to lie. We may ask people to steal for our behalf. Your spouse has a job with a company where they can charge things on the company credit card. So they take you out to dinner and you say charge it on the company credit card like it was a business expense. Stealing, isn't it? Yeah. So, we may very easily ask a family member or even a friend to do this kind of thing so that we have more money. Okay, so we make others accumulate negative karma. We ask them to lie. We ask them to go tell somebody else off. Yeah, we're insulted. We say, you stick up for me. You go talk to that person who's trouncing, on me. Okay, so instead of doing that kind of thing, from now on, I will shun enabling others' negative actions. So then, instead of encouraging other people to steal or to speak harshly or whatever, we'll be a good friend to them, and we won't do that kind of thing. And if the conversation starts turning, let's say, towards malicious gossip, we'll turn it away from malicious gossip because we really don't want to, stay in that awful kind of situation. Or a relative, a friend is thinking of doing something that is illegal or dishonest, and we'll counsel them, not to do that. 20, when I fail in my endeavors and feel deeply disturbed, it is the wheel of evil karma returning upon me for obstructing the work of sublime ones. From now on, I will relinquish all obstructive deeds. Okay, so I fail in my endeavors. I'm trying to set up a business. It collapses. Okay, I'm trying to get a certain job. Can't get it. Now, whatever I do just doesn't seem to work. So this is, and I feel deeply disturbed inside. So my projects are not bearing fruit. This is the result of obstructing the work of sublime ones. So there may have been holy beings or spiritual mentors who were doing work that benefited others, and we criticized them. We criticized what they were doing, or we interfered with their work, or we said, why are they doing that? That's so wasteful. That's so, ridiculous. So we need to be really careful of what projects people are doing that we criticize, because we could wind up sabotaging our own projects. Okay, so from now on I will relinquish all obstructive deeds. So let me pause here. We've done 20 verses. Any questions? Comments? Yeah.
When the first couple, whatever verse was about the serious illness, is that also like physical pain comes from harming?
Yeah, any kind of physical pain, injury, disease, yep, the whole thing.
So does karma always come about if you have the intention to do, not do you also incur karma if you are a clumsy person and go around hurting people's feelings without knowing it or something?
Okay, so karma is created by intentional action. Okay, so there's the intention to do the action. Yeah. Now, when you're saying like somebody going around and hurting other people's feelings without knowing it, using that.
Just socially clumsy. So.
Yeah, okay, somebody who's socially clumsy, for example. Okay, if that person truly lacks any desire to help, to harm anybody, and it's just, social clumsiness, they probably wouldn't create any negative karma. If they did, it would be very light. But there's also the negative karma created out of ignorance. So, if somebody had tried to instruct somebody, don't say that kind of thing. Yeah. Or when you're in somebody else's house, wipe your feet, don't bring the mud in. And that person just kind of dismisses it and says, oh, that doesn't matter, that's something stupid, they can clean up after me, lots of people are bringing in the mud. Then there's some intention there, isn't there? So you have to see really if there's no intention or if there's just an intention that we don't want to acknowledge, or if we're actually ignorant of the situation and ignorant of the proper way to behave. Okay? Or if we have wrong views. Yeah, like people who do animal sacrifice. Yeah, they think that they're creating good karma by killing these animals and offering them to the deities. That is, that's the karma of killing created out of ignorance, because they don't understand that, killing animals creates negative karma and harms others.
So are they are creating negative
Oh,
karma
yeah.
for themselves?
Oh, yeah. And it's negative karma created out of ignorance.
So ignorance is no excuse even in karmic law.
Yeah. Well, look at some of the look at Al Qaeda. Okay, they think they have a good motivation for doing what they're doing. Yeah. If you ask any Al Qaeda person, they're saying, "I'm doing something really good for the world." I'm protecting oppressed people. I'm standing up against imperialism or whatever it is. Yeah. So just thinking that you're doing something good doesn't mean you are. Okay. Yeah. So thinking, well, I'm killing infidels in order to preserve my own religion. You may think, oh, that's fantastic. But actually, it's quite negative karma to kill others. Okay? Other questions? Yeah.
Doing the materious behavior, creating merit, does that cancel karma? Or
Doing what kind of behavior?
meritorious behavior?
Uh-huh.
Does that cancel karma, negative karma,
Mhm.
or does it put good karma in the savings bank?
Oh, okay. So just doing positive karma cancel the negative, or does it just put more karma in the
Yes.
karma savings account? It can kind of do both. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely you're creating merit, and if you have the wish to when your virtuous deed is coupled with regret for your negative deed, and the determination not to do it again, and taking refuge in a good intention towards others, then you're also doing purification. Okay. Anything else? Should I go on? We have 5 minutes more. I really want to try and get through this text. Do you think we can do it? 21. When my gurus remain displeased, no matter what I do, it is the wheel of sharp weapons turning upon me for acting duplicitously towards the sublime Dharma. From now on, I will be less duplicitous and with respect to the Dharma. Okay, so we may be trying to please our spiritual mentors, and whatever we do, it just seems like they're unhappy with us. Okay? Either that, or we want some great and glorious praise because we're really puffed up and they aren't succumbing to our psychological manipulations. Yeah. But in either case, yeah, it's the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me. What did we do? We acted duplicitous towards the sublime Dharma. Yeah. So we were double-faced. We didn't act properly. We may be very sweet and look like a fantastic disciple in our teacher's presence, and as soon as we're away from our teacher, we break our precepts, we do whatever, we say, forget it. Yeah, I don't have to acknowledge this. My teacher doesn't know what I did. They're just looking down my back, waiting to criticize me anyway because they're an authority figure. So I can just do whatever I want and it doesn't count. Lots of people have that kind of attitude. In front of their teachers, oh, they look so holy. Let me do this for you. Let me do this for you. Please have this. And then as soon as the teacher's gone, oh, all these sentient beings, they're so terrible and they interfere with me and they do blah, 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 blah. And who is it that your spiritual mentor cares most about? Other sentient beings, and that's who you're trashing. Okay, so of course your teacher's not going to be happy with you. Okay, so from now on I will be less duplicitous with respect to the Dharma. I'll be more straightforward and I'll cultivate a kind heart. Okay, when everyone challenges what I say, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me for disregarding, now instead of shame, I don't know what they have in there, but disregarding my sense of my own integrity and my conscience, and from now on I will refrain from troubling behavior. So when everyone challenges what I say, so you're trying to direct a group of people working on a project, and you say, please paint this yellow, and they say, I don't feel like painting it yellow. I think green is going to be nicer. Well, we need to paint it yellow because of da-da-da. I don't like that shade of yellow. You know, then whatever people are, the leader is trying to guide us into some direction, it always turns into a conversation. Yeah. One of my friends sent me an article by a Zen master. He thought I would like to read it. And the Zen master was talking about, in the Zen tradition, that you really follow your teacher's instructions. And, how the teacher says something and then expects the student to, collaborate. And I was thinking, wonder how many times that happens. Or is it, does it happen to Zen teachers, but it doesn't happen to everybody else? Because so often you ask somebody to do something, and what you get is a conversation. Well, I don't think we should do it this way. I think we should do it that way, and and I don't want to do it, and this other person should do it, and it wasn't me that did it last time, and why are you questioning my ability? Yeah, so it's interesting to look at, when people give us some kind of instruction, do we just say yes, or do we make a whole conversation and negotiation out of it? Yeah? Somebody says, please take out the garbage. I took it out last week. It's your turn to take it out. Yeah. I'm getting the sniffles. I can't take the garbage out. You take it out. I don't care if you're sick. Everything turns into some kind of conversation. Instead of just, please pick the fork up. I wasn't the one who dropped the fork. Okay, so let's try and, so this is a result of disregarding our own integrity and our conscience. Okay, so we weren't very cooperative. Yeah, we didn't abandon non-virtuous actions because we respect ourselves and have a sense of our own integrity. Yeah, we didn't abandon non-virtue because we have some kind of conscience and some feeling of, like, gee, I want to be a good person and contribute something good to the planet. But instead we just went through life just thinking me, I, my, and mine. Yeah. And so from now on, I will refrain from troubling behavior and try and be more cooperative. Yeah. That doesn't mean we say yes to everything. And if someone's idea isn't a good idea, or if somebody doesn't have all the information they need, then, we give them the information, or we may propose another idea, or say, I'm not quite sure why we're doing it that way. Could you explain it to me? And then have them explain, instead of right away saying, no. Like we're still 16. That was our favorite word, They say that the troubling twos, what is it?
Terrible twos.
Terrible twos. Yeah, that's when they learn the word no. Yeah. And then kind of when you're 16, you have a reoccurrence of it. Maybe it's younger than 16. Maybe it starts at 14 now. Everything your parents say, no. And that kind of lasts the rest of your life. Yeah. You aren't you're giving me orders. Yeah. No, no, no. I just came from a monastic conference in California with other Buddhist traditions. And so it was really wonderful to get everybody together. But the folks in the Theravada tradition, because our theme was monastic training, and they were saying, that the first 5 years in training, when your teacher says something, there are 2 responses you can give. Yes, or it was my mistake. You're laughing. But this is actually the way some teachers train their students. It's like your job is to learn to be humble. Yeah? Your job is to, learn to just think before you say things. So it's interesting. We, of course, all laugh too at that. So we'll resume with verse 23, which is where we left off. When disputes arise as soon as my companions gather, it is the wheel of sharp weapons turning upon me for peddling my destructive, evil character in all directions. From now on, I will maintain good character wherever I am. So when disputes arise as soon as my companions gather, at work, family dinners, your friends come over, whatever's happening, then there's always disputes and people arguing. Yeah. Some people, it's kind of family dinner, what Thanksgiving dinner is going to be like every year and who's going to fight with who, and, or whenever our friends gather, this one doesn't like that one. So all these disputes. So, and then we have to endure it, and it's really rather unpleasant because you care about these people and you want to have a happy environment, and instead they're all quarreling. So it's the karmic result of peddling our destructive evil character in all directions. So our having incited disputes before, turning one person against the other, kind of getting people riled up over small actions. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Getting people riled up over small actions, provoking people, getting them on edge. So we've done that plenty of times in the past. Have you? And so from now on, I will maintain good character wherever I am. So making doing the taking and giving meditation, taking on all their disputes and all the commotion and chaos that comes from it, and giving them our happiness and peaceful relationships, and then making a strong determination to maintain good character. In other words, for us to really watch our speech, watch our behavior, have a kind mind, not incite people to quarrel and to disagree and everything, but instead really creating harmony. That doesn't mean that every difference of opinion has got to be a conflict and something unpleasant. I mean, people naturally have different opinions, and different opinions are good because that way we can all think about things a little bit more and come up with a good solution. So the end of conflict isn't that everybody thinks exactly alike, because that's never going to happen, okay? But rather it's when there are differing opinions and differing ways of doing things, knowing how to talk to each other so that we can reach some kind of situation that is agreeable in some way or another to everybody concerned, even though nobody may be perfectly satisfied with it, but really understanding each other and coming to some understanding and agreeing to go forward together. Okay, so don't think every time there's differences of opinion it's got to be disputatious and quarrelsome, because that's not the case. I mean, difference of opinion means that we're thinking, and something good can come out of it. Yeah, so don't think, I just have to close my mind and not say anything to get along with anybody. That's not it. Okay? Yeah. But the thing is, too, when we have different ideas, to not get so attached to our ideas that our ego is stuck in them, and my idea's got to be the one that the whole group goes with because it's my idea, Because as soon as we get attached to our idea, then we, simply because it's ours, then we really stop thinking. And there may be some other ideas or a way of combining ideas, and we remain blind to those because we're so stuck on, if they accept my idea, it means I'm a good person, it means I'm a powerful person. If they reject my idea, it means I'm a failure and they don't respect me. So instead of imputing all that other junk on it, just put the idea out, don't claim any ownership of it, and then whether they like it or don't like it, you don't get involved in either arrogance or discouragement. Make some sense? You think you can do it?
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Then 24. When all who are close to me rise up as enemies, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me. For harboring harmful, evil intentions within, from now on I will diminish deceit and guile. Okay, so when people who are close to me rise up as enemies, yeah, you may have some good friends and then something happens and they turn against you, or you're working with people at your workplace and something happens and they turn against you. People you were counting on walking out and not wanting to have anything to do with you. So instead of getting angry at them and calling them names and so on, to say this is a result of the fact that I've harbored within me very harmful, evil intentions. Now, so we can look very nice and sweet on the outside, but inside we want revenge, or we look like we're being very nice and bringing people together, but actually we're being quite duplicitous and turning people against each other. So really looking at our minds and seeing if our motivation is actually a kind one, or if we're manipulating people in some way so that we can feel powerful or gain something out of a situation. Yeah, you can probably think of examples in your life, maybe? When you've done it, not when other people have done it. We've done it. Okay, so instead of harboring harmful, evil intentions within, like I'm going to get even at my boss for doing this, or I'm going to get even at my ex-husband, ex-wife, or I'm going to get even at my brother or mother, whoever it is, From now on, I will diminish deceit and guile. Okay? So deceit and guile are two mental factors that are often paired together. One of them is where we pretend to have good qualities that we don't have, and the other one is where we pretend not to have the faults that we do have. Okay? So we're creating a face, we're creating a persona that's completely false in order to manipulate others and get them to do what we want. Yeah? Or in order to save face for ourselves. Yeah? Somebody, who spilled the milk? The chipmunk outside came in and did it, Like, it's certainly not me. I never would do something like that. Yeah. So we hide our faults, or we go around, really painting ourselves as this fantastic person, so reliable, so conscientious, so full of skills. Somebody should really hire us, so they should really trust us. And then when we convince them, with our all of our pretension to do that, then we don't show up and we, don't do what we were making it out that we could do. So it's much better just to be honest. Now, I know that getting a job in America, it's kind of like you have to sell yourself like you're a TV project and make yourself look better than you actually are. But when I think about it, if I were hiring somebody, I would really value more the person who was honest about what they could do and what they couldn't do, because then I knew I would always get, that person would always be straight with me. And to me, that's much more important than somebody not having a skill that is needed, because they can always learn the skill. But if they don't have a straightforward personality and they're always painting pictures that aren't true, then even though they're skilled, it's really a mess working with them. Okay. I'm just thinking it's getting rather warm. I don't want you to fall asleep after lunch because it's too warm. Okay. Then 25. When I am sick with a chronic ulcer or edema, it is the wheel-sharp weapons returning upon me, for wrongfully and with no conscience using others' possessions. From now on, I will renounce acts such as plundering others' possessions. Okay, so we have, we're sick with chronic ulcer or edema. Edema is swelling of your limbs. Yeah. So your belly hurts and your limbs are swollen. Okay, not very comfortable. So again, this is the result of wrongfully and with no conscience using others' possessions. Yeah. So saying, well, we're here at the Zen Center and, the phone is there and I need to make a long distance call, so I'll just go do it. They won't mind. Well, are we paying the phone bill? Have we asked permission? Yeah. Or we're staying with our friends, and instead of contributing to the food in the refrigerator, we just eat them out of house and home, almost. Yeah. Have you ever had guests like that who come? Yeah. And then your refrigerator is empty and they don't offer a thing. Of course, we've never done that, have we? Yeah. Okay, so we've used others' possessions. Oh, Mom doesn't need her car today. Dad doesn't need his car today. I just want to go out and do something. And so we take somebody else's car and go out and, without asking, without any awareness that this really doesn't belong to us. Okay? Or the great one, when we go and we use somebody else's computer, and then, we get everything all goofed up, and then they can't log on again. Yeah, they somehow accidentally change the password, or change the font, or got everything kind of screwed up, and then you don't know what to do on your own computer. So from now on, I will renounce acts such as plundering others' possessions. So I don't know if using somebody's computer is plundering, but it can get people pretty aggravated, can't it? Yeah. So to really respect others' possessions and our neighbors' possessions, if there's things shared in common, to not just think, well, we'll share it, and so I'll use it and the other person can clean it and fix it. Yeah, I mean, we have people coming and staying at the Abbey, and they use things, and then we have no idea what happens to those things because they don't get put back where they were. Yeah, or people just leave them somewhere, or they put them back and they're broken, and we've lost so many library books that way, that people come and, used our books, and even though there's signs that says for residents only, yeah, and so these kinds of things that people consider quite innocuous, but then I remember going to look for certain books that I knew we had, and we didn't have them anymore. And a couple of them were books that was really hard to get. Yeah.
When someone does that to us,
Uh-huh.
when they plunder our belongings, for example,
Uh-huh.
what's a good approach? What's a good way to handle that?
Well,
That's the Dharma practice means.
Okay.
Without being without being taken advantage of,
Right.
but also being wise in our practice.
Uh-huh. Well, what the Abbey's, for example, the Abbey's doing now, because we had so many books go missing, that when we move into Chenrezig Hall, the books are going in the library, and nobody but the residents can go in the library. That's it. And we wish we didn't have to do that, because we know most of the people won't steal the books, but we've just, or misplaced them, but that's just what happens. Yeah? So sometimes you take measures like that if it's a whole group, or if it's a particular person, you might just say, can you give me a situation or something? Somebody uses your car and scratches it?
Or someone, comes and stays with you and eats all the food.
Okay,
in the house,
so someone comes and
so-
stays and eats all the food, and then you say, I feel a bit upset, and I want to have a good relationship with you, and I want you to stay with us, but we also need help with the food bill. Yeah, so would you be willing to chip in and help buy some groceries?
Just honesty.
Yeah, it's amazing, these kinds of things, how, when I think about it, our minds get so tangled up about, how to say something. But when you really think about it and you just think, okay, let's take all the junk away. And what is it? It's like, yeah, well, I feel upset and this is what I need, and would you consider helping? Yeah. But it's so strange how we have to dig through so much fear of offending them and a fear of them not liking us. And all we're doing is saying something actually that's quite normal and natural and not at all offensive.
You could do it,
Yeah? Yeah. But I know sometimes, we get so tangled up instead of just saying, this is what we need.
I think we have this myth that Dharma practitioners aren't permitted in some strange way to be able to speak directly. Like there's a Dharma niceness that kind of exempts all direct conversation or something.
Yeah, but it's crazy making, isn't it? Totally.
Should make it
Easier.
Yeah, we should make it more direct and more clear. And then, we should also not be offended when people are clear and direct, because it's actually polite and it prevents confusion. Yeah, it's like, okay, we're at the Zendo and the teachings are over and they were very kind and loaned us the place and we need to clean up now. Could everybody stay 5 minutes and help? Nothing offensive about that. And if somebody's starting to walk out the door, yeah, if it's one person, well, maybe they have to go somewhere. Yeah, but if a lot of people are walking out the door and leaving you, then you might say, I'm one person. There's more work than for one person. Could somebody please stay and help? And you get to eat the rest of the cookies if you do. When my body is struck suddenly by contagious disease, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me for committing acts that undermined my solemn pledges. From now on, I will renounce non-virtue. Okay, so our body is struck suddenly by contagious diseases. Now, this can happen to anybody at any time. Yeah, it can happen whether you're traveling abroad. It could happen in this country. We get sick out of nowhere. Okay, and so to think that it's the result of undermining our solemn pledges. So what that means is, if you've taken tantric initiation, at the time you take tantric initiation, you take certain precepts and pledges, and so instead of keeping them, we've been very sloppy with them. Like maybe we promised our teacher we would do a certain practice every day or recite a certain number of mantra every day, and we don't do it. Yeah, or we made a pledge to practice some action of generosity each day, even if it's a visualized one of making offerings, and we don't do it. So, not respecting our pledges. Yeah, so, and then the conclusion, from now on I will renounce non-virtue. So that's good if we can renounce non-virtue. That's what we should renounce. People hear about that Buddhism involves renunciation and they think, oh, it means renouncing pleasure. No, it means renouncing suffering. It means renouncing non-virtue, which is the cause of suffering. That's what we're trying to give up. Okay? So with all these verses, you do the Tonglen. You do the taking and giving. You take the suffering that is listed in the first line, use it to destroy your self-grasping and self-centeredness, and then, radiate with that heart of love and transform your body, possessions, and merit into what others need and give it to them. 27. When my intellect becomes ignorant of all fields of knowledge, it is the wheel-sharp weapons returning upon me for persisting in activities that must be cast aside. From now on, I will cultivate the insights of learning and so on. Okay, so if you ever, our intellect becomes ignorant of all fields of knowledge. You can't remember what you study. Uh-oh. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about getting old is then you can just say, well, it's because I'm getting old. But, it really isn't, I don't think. We just kind of space out more, maybe lose our mindfulness more. So, our intellect becomes dull. We can't remember things. We've forgotten what we knew. Okay, so it's the karmic result of persisting in activities that must be cast aside. So maybe in previous lives we had some very bad habits, maybe activities to be cast aside. Maybe we had some substance abuse problem. We were drinking a lot or using recreational drugs or smoking or have a habit of losing our temper or all sorts of other kind of bad habits of screaming at people and who knows what. Okay, so persisting in activities that need to be cast aside. Or maybe we just had bad habits, in our garden of spraying insecticide all over the place, or misusing the environment, not recycling stuff, driving here and there just because we feel like it, without any kind of awareness of the effect of our use of the car on the environment. Okay, so activities that should be cast aside. And so from now on, I will cultivate the insights of learning and so on. So the learning and so on refers to what's called the 3 kinds of understanding. Yeah, here he translated it as insights. So from learning, or sometimes they call it hearing or studying, and then from thinking about what you've studied, and then finally from meditating on it. So those 3, they always are spoken of in a trio like this. You have to study, then you have to think about what you studied, make sure you have the right understanding, then you have to put it into practice and also meditate on it. Okay, so instead of doing that, we persisted in doing all sorts of activities that we should have stopped doing a long time ago. Yeah, we're still doing that now, aren't we? 28. When I am overwhelmed by sloth while practicing the Dharma, for those of you who are starting to fall asleep, it is the wheel of the sharp weapons returning upon me for amassing obscurations to the sublime Dharma. From now on, I will undergo hardships for the sake of the Dharma. Okay, so we're, sitting and trying to listen to teachings, we're falling asleep, we're reading a Dharma book. Yeah, we're doing our evening practices. Yeah, so it's a karmic result of amassing obscurations regarding the sublime Dharma. Okay, so if you have a big problem about falling asleep when you sit down to meditate or getting dull or getting drowsy, it could be in previous lives you mistreated Dharma texts, you stepped over them or, kind of threw them in the garbage, or maybe you were one of the communist soldiers who burned the Dharma books. I mean, who knows what we were in a previous life? We don't know. Yeah, so we could have really damaged Dharma materials, or maybe we made a racket during teachings and interrupted teachings or interrupted people's meditation. So we were somehow creating a lot of obscurations regarding Dharma. That's now resulting in the mind being, you can see how it fits together, when you destroy something or create obscurations, then your own mind becomes obscured, can't understand. So from now on, I will undergo hardships for the sake of the Dharma. So I will try and stay awake. Yeah, I will, even if it's a little bit cold, I will go and sit and meditate, or, I will sit in proper posture. I will be respectful to the other people, to my Dharma friends, to my Dharma teachers. In other words, I'll really, instead of always putting myself up front, if there's some hardship involved in listening to teachings. Sometimes in order to go on retreat, you have to save your money and not buy so many lattes. Oh, what incredible hardship that is. And then you arrive at retreat and you say to the teacher, "You're so lucky to have me here. I sacrificed to come to this retreat. I gave up exactly 637 lattes to come and suffered the whole time." So, to be willing to undergo some hardship for the sake of the Dharma, and, because it's very difficult to have access to the Dharma teachings and opportunities. So instead of taking them for granted, really putting our energy in that direction. Yeah. Not thinking, well, it's a beautiful autumn day, I really should go out and do something else. I've heard this text before, or, I'll hear it again, they'll teach it again. Or, we have so many excuses why we can't come to teachings and come to retreats. Oh, I have to drive across town, it takes so long. Driving across Missoula, the 17 minutes, it takes to drive across Missoula,
Especially when there's a football game.
Oh, that's it, yes. You got it. Is it the Grizzlies here? The Grizzlies are playing,
Washington State.
Yeah, okay, we've got to watch that. Rather than I'll watch the rerun of the Dharma teachings, not the rerun of the football game. Yeah.
And just as an indicator of rarity, we haven't had the wheel of sharp weapons taught in Missoula since about 1992. So it's rare.
Okay. Good. Okay, 29. When I delight in afflictions and am greatly distracted, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me for not contemplating impermanence and the defects of cyclic existence. From now on, I will increase my dissatisfaction with cyclic existence. So when I delight in afflictions and am greatly distracted, I want to drink some latte, and I want to go out to the ice cream parlor, and then there's this really good movie, and let's go watch that. And I want to go see my friends, new kids, and I want to, go here and there and go on vacation. And, it is Saturday and Sunday. I should be able to sleep longer than usual. And, I kind of indulge my inflictions, so I'm angry and irritated, and I take it out on the people I live with. I complain, and I'm kind of, use the people I live with just to vent on. Any of you do that? Yeah? Yeah. Sometimes the people we live with are the people we're the meanest to. We don't, we forget common human courtesy with the people we care the most about. We stop saying please, we stop saying thank you, just, normal things. It's like, hey you, bring me this. Really? Yeah, have you heard people in families talk to each other that way? Yeah, and you can hear sometimes this kind of tension or competition between them. You know, they're kind of poking at each other in this way or that. Yeah, so indulging our afflictions and being greatly distracted. So that's the result karmically for not contemplating impermanence and the defects of cyclic existence. So instead of thinking, samsara is impermanent, my pleasures are impermanent, because if we really reflect on impermanence, then we're not going to get greatly distracted, because we're going to see that our life is passing with each moment, and we can't retrieve it, and at the time of death, all we have is our virtue, and our non-virtue, which will come with us. And so instead of getting distracted, we'll really put some effort into purifying our mind and planting the seeds of virtue and learning and conscientiously cultivating our good qualities. Okay, so if we meditate on impermanence, then we'll see following the distractions is useless. And similarly, if we meditate on the defects of cyclic existence, we'll see that following, getting distracted by all the fun things in samsara is really rather pointless. And we can put more energy into our Dharma practice. Yeah. So from now on, I will increase my dissatisfaction with cyclic existence. So in general, we're trying to not be so dissatisfied, except when it's with something like samsara or cyclic existence. Then we can be very dissatisfied. Yeah, our problem is we usually think samsara is pretty great, and then, we're dissatisfied. I don't have enough. I want more. I want better. How come somebody else has more than I do? This isn't fair. This kind of thing. Okay? But if we really think of, there's no lasting happiness to be found anywhere in cyclic existence, then we, get much more inner strength, and we watch our mind more closely. What's going on in my mind? What are my attitudes? Are they virtuous or non-virtuous? Instead of just letting our mind go here and there and, not being very introspective. Okay, 30, when I continue to regress despite all my efforts. This is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me for defying karma and the law of cause and effect. From now on, I will strive to accumulate merit. Okay, so in our Dharma practice, we continue to regress despite all of our efforts. Okay, so it seems like our concentration has gone backwards. We've forgotten what we've studied. It seems like we're spinning our wheels. Yeah, that doesn't mean we're not progressing. We might be, but we're just being quite critical and hard on ourselves. Yeah, but in any case, it's we defy the karma and the law of cause and effect. So we always talk about karma. We're like nice Buddhists, and yes, what you do brings a result, and so we need to be careful of what we do. And we talk very nice about karma, but when it really comes to putting it into practice, it's as if we don't really believe in karma. Okay. So we say, oh yes, generosity is the cause of wealth, ethical conduct is the cause of an upper rebirth. This is a quote from Nagarjuna. Okay. We say, oh yes, that's definitely true. Then somebody asks us to, make a donation for the local clinic for, people who don't have health care. And it's like, no. Yeah. No, we have a little bit of money, but we won't give it, No. So it's as if at that point, we don't really believe that generosity is the cause of wealth. Like, I want this money because I want to go out and buy a new coat, or I want to go to the Bahamas on holiday, or I want X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I'm not talking about, that generosity means giving tons of something, but to give something, to take a moment and generate a good motivation. And even we just give $1 or $5 or $10 or whatever is something to you, to do it with a good motivation and to really tap our heart into the fact that, somebody is in need and I want to help. And to create compassion and to make an offering, with bodhicitta. And that shows we really believe in karma. But when we just kind of shine it all on and, or we say, oh yes, ethical conduct is the cause of good rebirth. But if I lie in this situation, I can get about twice as much money as I normally would get. And it's kind of a big company, and anyway, this is the good one. It's from the company I work for, and they don't pay me enough anyway. So if I do this and this and this, and they wind up overpaying me, maybe I, just fudge on my timesheet a little bit, or fudge on the expense column, because the company doesn't really pay me what I'm worth anyway, then it's all okay if I do that. Anybody do that? Yeah. So, okay. So at that point, when we do that, it's as if we don't believe in karma. We're not really believing that integrity and being honest and not lying and not cheating is really the cause of happiness. Instead, we think that our our cheating is going to bring us much more happiness, and it's not. Yes, Cora May agrees. When her brother was a little bit older than that, last time I was here, some of you may remember, so Sage was so adorable that nobody paid any attention to me. They were all looking at the baby when I was teaching. So I held Sage on my lap, and then he and I gave the teaching together, and at least people looked this way. So Cora May's a little bit quieter. Okay. So instead we will strive to accumulate merit. So accumulate merit by taking and keeping precepts, by being generous, by, managing our temper, and so on. 31, when all the religious rituals I perform go amiss, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me. For investing hope and expectation in forces of darkness, from now on I will turn away from forces of darkness. And I'm going to go on to the next one, which is similar. When my prayers to the three jewels are impotent, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me. For not entrusting myself to the Buddha's way, from now on I will rely solely on the three jewels. Okay, so we may do a lot of religious rituals, and make dedications for certain people. May people recover, or may I recover. Sometimes there's rituals for prosperity, and they don't bring the desired result. Our prayers to the three jewels are impotent. They don't bring the kind of results that we want. So this is due to investing hope and expectation in the forces of darkness, and for not entrusting ourselves to the Buddha's way. Okay, so maybe we were doing pujas instead of for the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and making offerings to the three jewels. Maybe we were doing some kind of, offerings to spirits or some other kind of beings, or doing some kind of seance or channeling or who knows what. But it doesn't have anything to do with the Dharma and three jewels, but we're propitiating other beings or getting involved in that kind of stuff. Okay, and it could also be because our motivation, even if we're doing Buddhist rituals, that our motivation is kind of rotten. It's like, I'm making this offering to the triple gems so that I'll be rich. Yeah, and there are people who do that. It's kind of like they kind of like doing business with the Buddha. They'll go to the temple and say, Buddha, you know, or may my son or daughter, you know, meet a wealthy person and get married and have a good family. And if that happens, then I'll come and make offerings. So Buddha, first you deliver, and then I'll make an offering. I'll pay you back. Or or they're especially gracious and they make the offering first, and then, okay, where's that person that my son or daughter is supposed to meet? You know, that wealthy person. Yeah. So the motivation being, rather skewed and just a very worldly motivation. Let me just finish the verse, okay? So instead, from now on, I will turn away from forces of darkness, and I will rely solely on the three jewels. So instead of relying on other kinds of, mystical, magical things, really rely on the three jewels and dedicate ourselves to practice, and know that just because our worldly aims are not getting actualized, that doesn't mean, it's a great disaster. Sometimes our worldly aims not getting actualized, can be good for us. It makes us practice harder and understand things deeper. Yeah?
What if one is attempting to have a good motivation, but you also know that you have a more selfish motivation? Does that kind of make sense?
Say it again?
Well, what if a person is attempting to have a good, pure motivation for like all sentient beings, but you also have a selfish motivation, but you're trying to kind of clean it up?
Yeah,
How does
okay.
that pan out?
Okay, so that's what most of us are doing most of the time. There's a self-centered motivation, and we're trying to make it into a good one. Okay, so, we do the best we can. And the part of it that is a sincere, good motivation, we reap the good results of that. And the part that is just a rationalization or, our mind is tricking us in some ways, then we reap the result of that. So it can be kind of a mixed karma. Okay? Okay, verse 33, when my imagination arises as veils and possessor spirits, it is the wheel of sharp weapons returning upon me for accumulating negative karma against deities and their mantras. From now on, I will vanquish all negative conceptions. Okay, so our imagination arises as veils and possessor spirits. So in Tibetan culture, they really believed in spirits. And there's this great story about Milarepa when he was alone in the cave and trying to do his practice, and all these spirits came to bother him and spook him and do these different things. At one point, he looked at them and he said, "Why did you come here to bother me?" And the spirit said, "Why did you invite us with all your fabricated conceptions?" Okay, so in other words, our mind getting involved in making up all sorts of stories and conceptions, we create these things that then become like spirits for us. That there's actually no spirit there, but it's our mind has created a story and, made a mess. I mean, you know how it is. When we get in a bad mood, we paint the situation negative, and then, of course, it appears that way to us. So, same kind of mechanism. Yeah. So, it's the result of creating negative karma against deities and their mantras. And so from now on, I will vanquish all negative conceptions. So instead of writing stories, so-and-so did this to me, and it's because they really thought that, and they really meant this, and blah, blah, blah. And, making up our paranoid stories, making up our suspicious stories, making up our story of, oh, this person looked at me, and I know they love me, and oh, we're going to live happily ever after. We make up that story, or we make up the story of, oh, this new person came to work and I know that they like me and we have the same way of thinking, and I'm sure if I talk to them nicely, we'll be able to get along and all my ideas will get accepted. And, you know, we make up lots of stories. And so to cease all these kinds of conceptions that just create barriers in our relationships to other people. 34, when I am lost and wander like a powerless person, it is the wheel-sharp weapons returning upon me for driving others, such as my guru, away from their abodes. From now on, I will expel no one from their home. Okay, so we're lost and wander like a powerless person. So maybe you lose your job, yeah, or something happens, you know, with the economy. Different people wind up in shelters or on the street. I have a friend who has a PhD in psychology who just was, for several months, has been sleeping in a homeless shelter. Yeah? So these kinds of things happen. I know in my life, you know, there were times when I, as a nun, where I didn't have any support and I was just kind of wandering from place to place, so to speak. So when you don't have any kind of stability in your life, okay? It's the result of driving others, such as our gurus, away from their abodes. So maybe, you know, you were a landlord and you kicked somebody out without giving them a chance to, you know, pay their rent maybe in installments. Or, you know, we could have been wanting a hotel room and somebody was there and got that person kicked out. So here it's referring especially to our spiritual mentors, but it could be to anybody else. We arrive at a retreat center to do a Dharma retreat, and somebody else, we wanted a single room and somebody else has it. And it's like, well, they've got to get out of the single room. I booked it because I want to stay here and generate compassion this week. Yeah? Or you go to teachings. I mean, this is the great one. When you go to teachings in India, you know, I mean, when you're in teachings in the West, everybody has a ticket and you can, you know, check if you're in the right seat. In India, it's just one big space and everybody squeezes in. Yeah? And you go beforehand. And here are all these people, you know, who really want to generate bodhicitta and be kind to other people. And the day before the teachings start, they all rush into the temple with their cardboard and their blankets and things and tape them to these spots, and these are mine, and I'm putting my thing up in front, and you get away, and I was here first. And then they come back the next day to sit in those spaces, and somebody else moved their piece of cardboard a couple of inches, and it's like, I want to sit here because I want to see the Dalai Lama, and you move my cardboard, and you move over there because I was here first. You know? And this happens all the time when His Holiness teaches. You can't imagine how people treat each other in the name of wanting to hear a Nobel Peace Prize winner who's going to teach them about love and compassion. You've been in teachings in the East, true or not true?
Totally true. And then you get all mad at people who like sneak it. You waited all day the day before, and then someone comes and squishes in this tiny space next to you, and you're like, you can't do that. You didn't wait here yesterday. I did. Plus, the Westerners get put up right by His Holiness, which always makes me feel a little funny.
Yeah.
All the Tibetans are like way in the back, and we're up with the monks. It's kind of, it's weird.
Yeah. But then we fight with each other to get even closer. My seat is behind this pillar. You know, I don't want to look at a pillar. I want to look at the Dalai Lama. Move. Okay. So from now on, I will expel no one from their home or from their seat. Okay. Try and be considerate of other people. Now, this year when we go to put our cardboard down, you'll write this verse on the piece of cardboard.